time, so I got to see virtually all of it. I didn't close it down until Marty Netjes, found the net with about 10 minutes left, whatever it was in the in the third period. I would say this: Scott Wedgwood is their guy, right? So that much I think is no longer a conversation. I mean, they've got a really good room right now, but Wedgwood has taken over, and he is the guy until further notice.
Yeah,
they're skating extremely well, but if they're playing defense, like they were playing last night, then I think that this is going to be a very difficult team to beat because they're going to score goals.
Yeah, I would agree.
That's where I'm at on this team. I mean, are they light years ahead of the rest of the league? I mean, the Edmonton game was weird. When you put up a 9 spot on the road in Edmonton.
Right.
I mean, so you've seen some indications that maybe this team is just another step above others. But I don't know, Eric. I mean, I could have seen Anaheim. It was the hay wasn't in the barn until midway through the third last night.
Right.
So whatever.
For the Avalanche, they have the most points in hockey, the most goals in hockey, the best goal differential in hockey, the fewest losses in regulation in hockey. What I really point to is their other 4 losses. 2 were in overtime, 2 were in shootouts. The ones that were shootout losses, to me, that doesn't even register for me.
Right.
Here's the reason why. There are no shootouts in the playoffs. So we don't know which way that would have gone if that was a playoff game. And it is forgivable, you can make the case, to lose an overtime game. So they have pretty much steamrolled everyone. And for the most part, every game that they have lost has been close.
Yeah, absolutely.
No one's dusted them yet.
No. And I think only in San Jose is the only one in extra time that was like a double take. I mean, San Jose is not a particularly good squad, but that was on a back-to-back as well. So I can't imagine that it could be a better opening to the season. Maybe if you'd won a couple of those 5 games, okay, maybe then.
Overtime is a coin flip. Yeah. First goal wins.
Right.
Shootout, again, that is not in the playoffs. So to me, I look at a loss like that and say, if this was a playoff game, would they have lost?
Yeah, fair.
I don't know if they would have lost.
We don't
in
know
those
that.
2 overtime games. Yeah, they would have lost. So to me, they've really lost 3 games this season. That's
right.
It.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't think I'm changing rosters with anyone right now. I mean, as I look around the league, and I feel like as long as this team stays healthy, and that's always a knock on wood situation with a game as physical as the NHL.
Right.
This is a team that's going to be in this spot most of the year. They talked about this, Eric. You and I talked about this when they were talking about it at the end of last season. They identified sharply the things that they had to do. We have to get off to a good start. The things that they were looking at that they wanted to get done, they are getting done in the early part of the season. And it looks like a team that really enjoys playing together. I don't know all of the intricacies of chemistry and how it works for a hockey team like I do other sports, but you can see the fact that there is joy that they're playing with right now. They are playing at a high level. They're fast down the ice. They're physical on the ice. They're forechecking better.
Yep.
They're finally starting to knock in some extra man, some penalty, some goals
on the power play. Sometimes they play with their food too much.
They do.
And they get really cute and they're passing around the perimeter. But once they like the goal, I can't remember who it was. I think it was the second goal or the third goal,
right?
Where it was on the power play, where it was a shot, I believe it was from the slot, and it was tipped by one guy in front, and then it was knocked in. I think it was by Netchus, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
He was standing on the doorstep. That was a fortunate break, but I believe if it was Netchus that scored the goal, it was right place, right time.
Right.
He's exactly where he should have been, right on the goal crease, in theory, to the goalie's left side, and the puck just went to him and pop. He knocked it right in. With that, I want to dive into Nathan MacKinnon just for a second. We talk a lot about Jokic as being the best guy in town, quite possibly the greatest team sport athlete in the history of this city. You can make a strong argument for that. People argue Elway, and I get that. But for as much as we talk about Jokic, MacKinnon is having another MVP season. He's leading the NHL in goals. He's tied top spot in assists, leads the league in points. And, oh, by the way, ho-hum has 12 points over his last 3 games, and 2 of those were on the road.
Right.
Do we tend to overlook MacKinnon? As you can argue, Landeskog, if you polled fans, is the fan favorite. You can also argue if there was a pond hockey game and you had the entire Avs roster standing on the pond, that Makar would arguably be the first pick?
Yeah. No, I don't think he's overlooked. I think he's part of the mix. To me, it's MacKinnon, Makar, MacKinnon. As long as you get them both, it's to me, I think the best 1-2 punch in the National Hockey League. One guy on the blue line who is arguably the best defensive player, certainly the best scoring defender.
Yes.
In all of hockey in the world.
In the world. Right?
In the world. And then you have Nathan MacKinnon, who at the very least is a top 5 scorer in the world.
He's the top scorer in the world.
Well, okay, there you go.
He's the best. He's tops in points, goals, and assists.
Yeah. So, I mean,
he's the best player in the world right now.
Yeah. I kind of, when we start splitting hairs, I can have the argument about Makar over MacKinnon, but I have always tried to take them as a 2-player package. You've got them both. I'm not getting rid of either one of them. They're not going to get rid of either one of them. Right. You're adding pieces around them. And, metrically, their numbers are as good. When I look at their power numbers around the league, their metrics are as good and better than any team in the NHL in virtually every statistical category.
Yeah.
And those 2 guys help tremendously at the top of the food chain. So I just think I'm not even holding my breath on the Avs anymore. I was holding my breath a little bit on the Nuggets. I'm glad that they got to 8-2. Last night to me was a game that it was like, if I had woken up this morning with them and having gone to bed with them leading the way that they did and found a way to blow that game, I would have been pissed this morning. I really would have been. But I wouldn't have been totally stunned because I'm not quite there yet with my belief in the consistency, especially defensively with the Nuggets. But I am with the Avs. I think that they've got every single thing covered at this particular point.
We talk a lot about Cam Johnson not scoring, and I think it's a concern. And I don't want to compare it to Michael Porter Jr., who has, is scoring 22, 23 points a game, something like that.
Yeah.
But is it unfair to compare the two for this reason? Michael Porter is on a team in which he is the number 1.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. And Cam Johnson still has played excellent defense. And the Nuggets are a better defensive team with him on it than with Michael Porter Jr. on it. And none of us should be worried about the Nuggets scoring.
Cam Johnson doesn't have to worry about being a scorer on this team.
Right.
There are plenty of guys that can score the ball on this team, and it should allow him plenty of time to settle into his role
Right.
and to be a real asset, which I think he is already being an asset. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
But I think he can become an even more well-rounded asset for the Nuggets as they move forward. I mean, you're talking about a guy that's played 10 games with this group. I mean, that's it. So I'm bullish on Cam Johnson.
Yeah.
I think he is going to be. I think he's going to be a real nice player in the 14-point range. 7 rebounds, 8 rebounds, something like that. And if he can shoot the ball at a fairly high percentage with those numbers, where he's not having to get a lot of shots to get those numbers, he's a guy that can be very, very valuable to them. And he already is a valuable defender, to your point.
At the risk of putting you on the spot, what are Nuggets opponents shooting against them from 3-point range?
It's still too high. The last time I checked.
I'm going to stop you right there. They're the best in the league.
Are they? What is the number?
Opponents are shooting 30% from 3-point range.
I stand corrected.
That's why I cut you off.
Right.
Now, not to correct you. I wasn't trying to set you up.
No.
It surprised me as well.
Right.
The Nuggets are a top 5 defensive team in the major categories. Points given up, they're third. I believe they're roughly top 5 in terms of field goal percentage. They're tops in the league in holding opponents with their 3-point percentage. This is the turnaround that David Adelman needs to convince his players, this is how you win games. This is how we're going to win another championship. Aaron Gordon has stepped it up offensively. He might not be the same defensive player that he used to be, but he's still really, really good. But then you throw in Cam Johnson, where you have 2 terrific forwards defensively.
If this team defends with that kind of energy consistently, then we're talking about the same thing that we're talking about with the Avs. So
correct.
That's just the way it is, because everything else they have depth, they have scoring. As long as you defend and rebound, and they're going to rebound. I mean, they rebound. This is a good rebounding team. It's not going to be an issue. So, I mean, it's really nice when you have a team that, if you can account for one area, and just one, if you can account for that, you're going to be a contender.
Right.
The Avs have that. The Nuggets have that. The Broncos are working towards having that.
Right.
And this kind of brings up your point from last week when we were talking about golden ages of Denver sports. From an early onset in 3 seasons, and obviously the Broncos are past the halfway point now.
Yep.
You've got 3 teams going as well as you've had at any time in the history of Denver sports. Anytime.
Yeah.
It's pretty remarkable.
Right.
Pretty remarkable.
All right. Speaking of the Broncos, they haven't made a decision on what to do about J.K. Dobbins. He, of course, has a sprained foot. The decision is, do you put him on IR? Do you keep him on the active roster? Depending on the severity of the injury, it's expected to be 2 to 8 weeks. How significant of a blow is this to an already struggling offense? And what do you think the offense will look like with him out of the lineup potentially for a while?
Well, if he's out of the lineup potentially for a while, and I think we'd be talking about maybe 3 weeks, 2 weeks, something. I mean, if they're not going to put him on IR, then I would expect to see him in 2 to 3 weeks tops, right? And by the way, we go back to practice today. It'll be interesting to see if PS2 is at practice today. I've heard murmurings, but we'll have to wait and see about that. I would be, I think, at this point, surprised if he wasn't out there. But regardless, yeah, it changes it. I mean, that's been the one thing in your offense that has been consistent relatively consistent.
When they've decided to run it.
When they've decided to run it. That is exactly right. I don't know if you can put RJ Harvey in that role right now. Could RJ Harvey handle it for 15 reps? Probably, but could he handle the same kind of runs for 15 reps that J.K. Dobbins is? J.K. Dobbins is a tough, hard-nosed runner, and he gets hard yards. RJ Harvey is a very similar physical type, but he hasn't quite shown that propensity yet, and he hasn't had the opportunity to do it. It will be interesting to see. This is one where you like to have all the bullets in the chamber when you're going to play a team like Kansas City, who I think is Kansas City is ripe for the taking. And even though Mahomes is playing well, now he didn't play well his last game, but he's played exceedingly well. If you win this game, you start to bury the Chiefs. This is about a 3-game spread with a game in hand. And obviously you'd like to have J.K. Dobbins instead of not having him, but you're also playing for the end of the season and the playoffs and being ready to go then. So it's a bit of a sticky wicket, but if he's not close, then he shouldn't be playing this week, period.
Coming up after the break, how good do you feel about RJ Harvey taking over that number 1 role as the lead back, considering Harvey has been averaging 5 carries a game and Dobbins has been averaging 15 carries a game? How much will RJ's workload go up? How much will they use Tyler Bidet? That's next. Everyone has their favorite barbecue spot. Mine, Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew. My favorites, slowly smoked ribs, smoked corned beef Reuben, smoked meatloaf with a portobello balsamic cream sauce. Don't forget about Smokin' Dave's 16-hour smoked brisket and pork with one of their 4 homemade barbecue sauces. Great sides, you bet. Barbecue beans made with pork and brisket and their southern corn bake. Man, you got to try it. Plus, they have amazing non-barbecue entrees on the menu. Go where I go, Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew in North Denver.
Here's another great promotion from Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos in Blackhawk. On December 13th, it's their annual holiday auction for a pair of Super Bowl tickets, tools, jewelry, electronics, toys, and kitchen appliances. Earn auction currency with every locked-up jackpot, players' points, or a daily cash drawing. There's so many ways to earn currency, and the more you play, the more you'll be able to bid and win what you want at their auction. So get up to Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos and start stacking your auction currency today.
Everyone has their favorite sports bar. Mine, the Sportsbook Bar and Grill in Highlands Ranch, DTC, and now in Parker. All their locations are everything a sports bar should be. An upscale menu with 12 different burgers, outstanding wings, and my favorite, the Philly cheesesteak egg rolls. They've got every game on the NFL Sunday Ticket, MLB Extra Innings, NHL Center Ice, NBA League Pass, plus soccer, rugby, and UFC. Sportsbook, great hangout bar, great for private parties. The Sportsbook Bar and Grill in Highlands Ranch, DTC, and now in Parker. They are the sports bar.
Ferguson's Heating and Cooling is the best in Denver, and their customers agree. Ferguson's has 165 5-star Google reviews, and here's one from Betsy. Highly professional, prompt, and honest. I switched to Ferguson's when I became aware my former company was trying to sell me a whole new system I didn't need. Ferguson's is an honest, working, family-owned business that'll give you a fair price, the highest quality parts and equipment, and they always show up on time. You can trust the Ferguson family like you trust your own family. Go to fergusonsheatingandcooling.com.
Ever wondered where city and county fleet vehicles go when they retire? Now's your chance to find out and score big. Imagine driving away with a great deal on a reliable vehicle. For over 45 years, Roller Auction has been the trusted source for government fleet vehicles and equipment. Trucks, SUVs, sedans, and more, all selling to the highest bidder. Don't miss out. Visit roller.bid/hot takes to get auction updates today. Your next vehicle could be just a click away.
And welcome back. Hot Takes Goodman and Haertl want to tell you about Ferguson's Heating and Cooling. I've worked with these guys twice over the last month. First time was our hot water heater broke. They were out at our home that day. We had a new hot water heater the next day. Great customer service. Then we had a problem with our furnace in which was blowing cold air. They were out here in a matter of hours, and it was fixed in a matter of hours. And they didn't charge us for stuff that we didn't need. We knew we needed a hot water heater. It wasn't like, well, you might need a new furnace. Love the fact how honest they are. You need to go with Ferguson's Heating and Cooling for all of your needs. I trust them wholeheartedly. Cody and Dawn, they are amazing owners of this family-owned company. And their son, Terrence, isn't a bad football player for the Rams.
Nope, awfully good. And Matt Stafford finds them, I'll tell you that much.
He's starting to get more and more involved in the offense. Ferguson's Heating and Cooling.com. Time now for What's Trending.
What's Trending is presented by Ferguson's Heating and Cooling. Your family should trust the Ferguson family for all your heating and cooling needs, and you'll see why they have over 165 five-star Google reviews. Make an appointment today at fergusonsheatingandcooling.com.
So without J.K. Dobbins, you have RJ Harvey, who is likely going to be the number one running back. He has averaged 5 carries a game. With that, Tyler Bidet has had 2 carries all season. Now, I'm going to put this into perspective. Adam Prentice has more carries this season. Right. Marvin Mims has more carries this season. Troy Franklin has more rushing attempts this season than Bidet. So how does Sean Payton split this up?
Yeah, it'll be very interesting to watch reps today during the viewing period at practice, because it's a very real question. Sean loves to use the short passes as kind of a run substitute on first down. Maybe we'll see more of that. But RJ Harvey, if J.K. Dobbins is out in this game,
he's going to be out for a while. He's going to be out a minimum 3 weeks.
Well,
you expect him to play on Sunday?
I haven't seen anything. Nothing has come across my eyes that have said that he is definitely out this weekend.
Well, wait a minute. Have you seen him practice since?
Well, he wouldn't have practiced. They haven't practiced.
That's my point. So I know what your eyes tell you. My eyes tell me we don't know yet. But from the reports that I've read where IR is a possibility, there's no way he's playing on Sunday.
But it swings from IR as a possibility to could he be available for this weekend?
Chris Tomlinson, well-respected guy,
yes,
friend of ours, he's reporting the Broncos are considering IR.
Right.
If you are considering IR, that says, okay, is this guy going to be gone for 5 weeks or more? If you're considering it, there's no way he's playing on Sunday.
You wouldn't think so. So the answer is, yeah. If you're going to run the ball, RJ Harvey's the guy. And it doesn't matter whether he's averaged 5 carries a game. He's going to have to do what is necessary.
But does he jump to 15 and now Bidet has 5?
No, you probably split that up a little bit. I mean, I would imagine. But the question becomes how much, first and foremost, how much do they run the ball? I mean, which is always a question for Sean, right?
Well, that leads me to something completely different. For a guy who sometimes forgets to run the ball,
right,
wants to get a little pass happy, is this now going to be the sugar on the trail that Sean chases? Because we don't have J.K. Dobbins. Maybe we'll throw the ball more, which I'm thinking you're throwing it enough. And Bo's having enough problems. I don't think the answer is to exacerbate a problem.
Well, he better be figuring out a way to. This is probably. Well, let's see. They're not as good a defense as Houston, but it's probably the next best defense they've seen in the last 5 weeks.
How was Houston's defense last night? Or I'm sorry, against the Bears, right? Or am I completely screwed?
No, Houston came back and beat them.
Yeah. Brain freeze on my part. Go ahead.
Yeah. No.
I digress. Alex, edit that whole part out.
Yeah.
For this live show.
Use Jacksonville. They played Jacksonville on Sunday.
Yeah. It was Jacksonville.
Yeah.
And who they came back and Davis Mills actually had a really good fourth quarter in a comeback. But so I don't care. That's up to him. He needs to figure this out, and it's not my job. Yeah. I would prefer to see this offensive line get a chance to run the ball consistently and often. And if it means that you are rotating 3 backs to get those carries or 2 backs to get those carries, then so be it. I mean, that's what you're on this roster for. That's why you are a step away from being the guy in RJ Harvey's situation, the number 1 guy in the running game, Tyler Baday's situation, the next option in the running game. You know, I mean, this is where you are in the season, and you got to figure out a way to keep Kansas City honest, running the football and moving the sticks. When this team does that, they can beat any team that they play, period. Any team that they play, if they can run the ball and stay out of long situations on third down. That is just the way it is. Because defensively, they're going to be in this game. I think they're going to be in this game. So
I'll tell you this. If the Broncos win this game and are good enough offensively, they score 17, well, not 17, but let's say they score 21 points or more.
Right.
If they score 21 points or more in this game and win the game without J.K. Dobbins, they are going to feel emboldened.
Yes.
Moving forward, and the fans are going to give the same refrain over and over again, as well as the media. Not only did we beat the Chiefs, we beat them without a guy who's averaging 5 yards per carry.
Right. And they beat him with Patrick Mahomes. You're trying to beat Mahomes as much as you are the Chiefs this week, right? I mean, they were on the verge of it last year in Kansas City, of all places, and couldn't finish the deal. And obviously he didn't play in the game at the end of the season here. But the Broncos are in a enviable position right now. When was the last time in week 9 that you would rather be the Denver Broncos than the Kansas City Chiefs? Take care of your business, man. And I know you're underdogs, and you probably at this point deserve to be underdogs with the way that you haven't performed offensively in the last 2 weeks. But you know what? We've seen you play offensively well enough at various times this season against pretty decent to okay defenses that we know that you are capable of doing it. And if you're capable of doing it this week, and you get out of this week at 9-2, and you are 3 games clear of the Chiefs, the only thing that you are really thinking about then are the Chargers. That's it, right. Eric. That's it. You've got what? At that point, you've got 6 games left with at worst a 1-game lead, and the Chargers still coming in. You can win the freaking division and host in the postseason. Then everything changes in terms of expectations, right?
Yeah.
So I don't think it's we're all going to be talking about this as the biggest game that they've played in 10 years because it is the biggest game that they've played in 10 years. And frankly, it's not even close.
Right. With that, this has not been a good fall for CU Buffs fans, for their team, for Shedeur Sanders, and now for Travis Hunter, who is out for the season after undergoing season-ending knee surgery. Hunter played in 74% of the Jags' offensive snaps this season, 28% of the defensive snaps. Even though Hunter is expected to have a full recovery in the next 6 months or so.
Right.
How much do you think this injury is going to affect the way the Jags use Hunter moving forward? Meaning, do you think there's a good chance he is now simply a wide receiver in the NFL?
Yeah. Yeah, I do. I mean, and I think that that's the logical conclusion. And the more times that you test a joint, the more times you do it, the better chances for an injury are on a particular joint or a bone or a muscle or whatever the case may be. I mean, he's played a lot of snaps this year. He's played a lot of snaps. And frankly, and this would be my biggest concern, I think he's robbed Peter to pay Paul depending on what position he's playing, because he hasn't been a dynamic. He's been dynamic at times, at moments in games as a receiver, and he's been okay as a corner. To me, this has more the look of, hey, I can do this, not, hey, I can excel at the highest levels of a receiving core and a cornerback room and be this unbelievable player. He's an unbelievable player, but he hasn't had unbelievable results in his first season. Look, what's wrong with getting the best out of him at one position? Put him in one position. If he's a top 5 player at that position in the league, then every move that you have made to get him still works out okay.
Right.
But I just, I have great admiration for Travis Hunter. More power to him. But this is the NFL. It's a different game. It's with different speed, different athletes, different intentions. It is just why you don't need to do this.
I can think of more than a few disastrous draft day trades, like the Mitchell Trubisky trade.
Sure.
Is right near the top of the list.
Yeah, it sure is, right?
But let's be honest here. Jacksonville traded up to get Travis Hunter with the number 2 overall pick. And the reasoning was they felt he was going to be a dynamic two-way player, right? What did they give up? They gave up 2 first-round picks, okay, to trade up, a second-round pick, and I believe a 4th-round pick. That's a big haul.
Sure is.
Let's say, for the sake of argument, the Jaguars don't use Hunter defensively anymore because of this injury, and they're trying to protect him. It's not that they don't feel he can, but they're trying to protect him. But then again, let's look at how he's been used this year. He's been used on 75% of the offensive snaps and about 25% of the defensive snaps. It was trending this way anyway. What I'm about to say is not a knock on Travis Hunter, although it's going to seem this way. If Travis Hunter is nothing more than a wide receiver in this league, and you look at the great wide receivers out there, I mean, you project him, Travis Hunter, to be a top 10 wide receiver in this league moving forward. Heck, he's not even the 4th best wide receiver in his own draft class.
Right.
Even if he was taken straight up as a wide receiver. Being taken number 2 overall, a wide receiver, is Kelvin Johnson territory.
Right.
Okay?
Yes.
And so with that, this could go down if he's not used both ways, and if he doesn't perform at a high level both ways, if he does play both ways, which I don't think he will, this could be a disastrous pick for the Jacksonville Jaguars. This trade could be a complete bust, having nothing to do with Travis Hunter, having everything to do with this injury, limiting him to play both sides of the ball. I mean, in any world would you ever have taken Travis Hunter to play wide receiver for you, trading up
No.
for the number 2 overall pick?
No, that's a quarterback move. That when you start trading a couple of draft picks like that, your first round picks, you're trading for a quarterback. You're going to move up for a quarterback or something like that. Right now, Travis Hunter, and all we can do is look at where he is at this moment. That's all that we can do. I think you and I both have thoughts about him moving forward, that he can be a dynamic presence for the Jacksonville Jaguars and can be a top flight player at a chosen position. And I'd say figure out which one. I would lean towards receiver.
Yep.
That's my own sense of what I see with my eyes, but whatever you end up doing. But to your point, the deal has far exceeded the return, right? What they paid has far exceeded what they have gotten back.
The only solace they will get out of this, if Travis Hunter becomes eventually high-end wide receiver between 15 and 20 in the league, it's still pretty good.
Yeah. Oh, no question. Right.
The only solace that they will likely be able to take is this, that when you look at the Herschel Walker deal and you look at all the picks the Cowboys made
right
with the picks they got from the Vikings, that makes the deal look even worse, clearly, for the Vikings. I don't think the Jaguars have to worry about that with the Browns, because the Browns will find a way to fuck up the first, second, third, and fourth pick in a row at the top of the draft. The Browns aren't good really at anything. So at least when we look back on this, if Travis Hunter just remains a wide receiver, he's between 15 and 20 in the league, you could make the case it was a terrible draft decision to take Travis Hunter, but chances are the draft picks that Cleveland got and the players they're about to take, at least it's not going to look that bad.
No, you're right. I am still, and I know you are too, bullish on Travis Hunter.
Yeah.
But what kind of role he fills now moving forward, it becomes the question. Are the Jaguars now losing the second pick in the draft basically halfway through the season, right? He's gonna miss the half of his first season, and he has played a fairly substantial number of snaps on either side of the ball. Is this the best plan for the player moving forward? Because to your point, they have invested heavily. They have invested heavily in draft capital, and they are going to end up, paying him a lot of money at some point. But they've got to figure out what they're going to be paying him a lot of money for. I would be surprised if moving forward that there isn't pushback from the Jacksonville Jaguars on Travis Hunter wanting to play two positions. And I know that that's what the player wants to do. I respect that. I really do. Good for you. But this is a different level of game, and you're an investment. I mean, that's what you are to the Jacksonville Jaguars. You are an investment in their future.
But what's interesting is, in a lot of ways in NFL, players are nothing more than commodities,
right?
More so than investments. But with what Jacksonville had to give up,
yes,
to move up to number 2, sacrificing this year's first-round pick and a second-round pick this past year and a fourth-round pick this past year, they have to protect this guy.
Sure.
And you see it in all sports, where sometimes the team has to protect the player from himself.
Well said.
And in this case, the investment was incredibly high because of what they were expecting him to do.
And here we are. So now you've got all of this information, and how do you move it? How do you use it now moving forward? That will be the big question. Where do the Jaguars go now? Because my sense is the Jaguars may be thinking one thing, and I'm sure that Travis Hunter will continue to be thinking of another thing. And I'm not sure the twain is going to meet on that.
Yeah. All right. Coming up tomorrow on the show, who has more pressure on them to win on Sunday? Is it the Broncos or the Chiefs, who are way behind? I'm not going the obvious route here. I don't know if you are. We'll talk about it tomorrow. Make it the best possible day you can.